He moved people to fields in dark nights, quiet dogs and the night breathing. Moon, the witness, sat wherever they wanted, line after line. On roofs were a woman, men and children prostrated. Old men in the front row, no police to keep discipline, no rush, no fear. The magician played on and on. The fog wrapped him in a blanket. Buffaloes didn't eat much. Plants held their sap. No tap and tip, alive graveyards. Water pumps refused. No prayers. Villagers beyond gender. The silence was pumping the blood to the heart. Seared lips and sleeping ears. Volcano beneath. Pressure mounting on the souls. Shoulders were woven in the unseen net. Dropped suddenly from the sky. Breath going upward and blood downwards. Well, I would like to read the last 5 lines of a poem which finishes my first play, The Guilt. Art is cruel. This rain pricks. This rain has needles. This air doesn't soothe. This sun burns the skin. This cloud is not dark. The breeze pricks the silence. This twilight doesn't please. This flower is not red. This tree is naked. This shoot fights the hands. This music doesn't heal. This instrument doesn't wrap the wounds. This woman is same as. The light is plain. This language is plain. This stone is soft. This stream is filthy. Yes, this poem is poor. Art is cruel. Yes, art is cruel. Thank you. Well, my name is Usman Ali. I come from Pakistan and I have been teaching there, Natasha, for 20 years. Yes. I think the best thing is that when you are living in a very remote part of Pakistan, and when you feel that no one gives voice to the stories which are around you. Media does not tell you all the stories. There are stories which are in streets, which are everywhere. So you really feel privileged in a way also. And you also feel that you are able to do something by bringing the ordinary stories, the stories of the folks, like the ideas of friendship, how the folks react to death, the kind of violence you find on streets. Such kind of stories are never reported, and how the war on terror affected the common man. So I think the best thing is that you are able to bring to surface the stories of the common man. And the worst thing, Natasha, is that no one reads your stories. You write and you do your labor, but there are no readers. And I think that is what hurts me most. And if someone is interested, they only want to write some dissertation because it is easy for them to write some dissertation on a new writer because they are not afraid of plagiarism. They think it is always easy to work. But no one calls me that they want to perform my play, and no one tells me how do they feel. So I think that is really hurting. I think Pakistan as a whole is, it is a very emotional society, and it is a very human society. I do feel about it. This society has been in the hands of wrong politicians, I feel. This is the nation which helped the Shaukat Khanum to build itself. This is the nation which gives the lot of charity than other nations, And there is a kind of togetherness, Natasha. And in particular, that comes out whenever I'm doing a play. We don't have trained actors, don't have that trained staff. So it is my colleagues, it is my students, and we like to help each other. Even we contribute from our pockets also whenever the money is needed. So there's good causes. They suddenly bring people together, and we like to sacrifice our ego for each other also. We love to promote others also. So I think there is this perhaps kind of togetherness which exists in Pakistani society. I think it's very important. Well, the what drives me is, I think, you know, again, Natasha, it is the sensitivity. Unfortunately or fortunately, I was born with thin skin. There are people with thick skin and there are people with thin skin. And when you are born with thin skin, you have a very difficult time to live in a society. Everyone's pain, it pricks you and it makes you uncomfortable. So what do you do? How do you how do you carry the burden as well as the gift of your skin? I think you write about it just in order to find peace inside. And the another good part is when you're writing story, when you're writing a play. In play, structure is very important. You cannot let imagination rule over your creation. Whatever is happening on stage has to be practical. It must have dramatic focus because people are watching it and nothing should take the attention of the audience away from the action. So when you feel that your muse helps you in developing the structure and it develops in a way you have not really thought out in the beginning, and when the play is finished, you have never imagined that the play would finish that way, and you feel satisfied, although it is for a moment just. It is a piece for a moment, but that is really good about it. And the bad part, the difficult part of the writing is, when you remain inspired. Very unusual thing. Let me share with you, Natasha. I am not a kind of a person who needs inspiration. People say they are having inspiration, they don't have. I remain inspired all the time. So my difficult part is with me is to carry that inspiration because you have to write it down, but you are dealing with people also. So when you cannot write it down, that really becomes a kind of a problem. Oh, absolutely. I really write in the tradition of political theater. And all the political writers, they are concerned that they have some special duty to do. You know, that write about, you cannot write love stories where there are a lot of bamblasa taking place. You cannot really appreciate the beauty of the landscape where you find violence. So, writer's duty is important and he must do his duty by helping people to think and to understand because because writer is also living in a community, and I think it is a very important responsibility of a writer to address the issues of his or her times. So I write, I create inhuman situations in order to create humanity in the audience. For me, theater is really like an education place. When you come and you leave, you must do something. It is not a culinary theater, as Brecht puts it. You come, you enjoy, you leave, you clap. I'm sorry, that's not enough for me. What is enough for me is when you go out of watching my play or reading my play, at least you decide to do something. And remember that mousetrap image I often use. My plays are also mousetraps. They capture the conscience of the audience. So it is supposed to make you guilty, although so that you could also do something about people and society. Absolutely, absolutely. The state must support literature. The state must create opportunities, for the writers to grow. The state must provide theaters for the actors, as well as for the playwrights who want to stage their plays. There is no funding. As I told you, we have been contributing from our pockets to keep our theater alive, And I also feel that theater should create a lot of publishing houses also. I feel that in particular in my society, in third world countries, every society needs a renaissance, and the state should come out to sponsor these issues, whether it is the printing press, the theaters, as well as places where stories can be told and can be heard. So I feel that it is essential, and the state must do it. Well, there are a lot of books, but Natasha, one book which I recommend, and I just bring this man, This is the portrait which I carry with myself, even I have brought to Iowa also. This is Derek Walcott. And it is one of his books. It is called The Conversations with Derek Walcott. This book has his interviews. And in his interviews, he explains the significance of reading, you know, and he tells that how writing has become a career suddenly. He says that before becoming a writer, one should actually read and read a lot. And he says in this book that one day he would wake up and he would write a poem in the style of T.S. Eliot. The other day he would wake up and he would write a poem in the style of Dylan Thomas. And the third day he would wake up and he would write a poem in the style of W.H. Auden. And then interviewer asks him why he was copying the other poets. He says he has to absorb the voice of other poets in order to discover his own sound. So he lays lot of stress on reading, on apprenticeship. Unfortunately, writers try to be famous overnight, but this book in fact tells you that, and this is very important. It's just close to my heart. I keep it that you must read. And I also promised with myself I will not start writing until I get 40 years old. So I must read and must absorb before I start creating an image. So I think for every writer, that Conversations with Derek Walcott, I think the must-read book. Well, Iowa is really a great city, and I feel you feel less lonely as a writer if you are in Iowa. However, I'm slowly interpreting this new culture. There is a lot of politeness, yes. There are a lot of formalities, but I also feel that people have some subjective anxieties and needs, beneath those formalities. And I have written a play called Garbage. You find a lot of garbages in Iowa. And whatever you take a cup of coffee, you take it and you just throw it into the garbage. And often people are asking each other, where is the garbage? I also feel that in Iowa, people are really lonely. They're very isolated. I could be wrong. That's my observation. I think here perhaps there is this, our relationships and everything. Perhaps, we want to dispose of everything, We want to dispose of everything. This habit is quite dangerous, the way I feel it. When you become habitual of disposing of everything, whether it is a cup or whether it is a relationship. And I find one difference between Seattle and Iowa. In Seattle, they use a lot of paper bags. Here, there are a lot of plastic bags are used because it is very difficult to recycle plastic. So that is one thing. So it's called the garbage basically, and there would be one garbage in my play which would be present on stage. So in a way, it is also telling that we need to be more human. We should not be disposing of everything. We should actually know what should we dispose of and what we should not. And another play is called Becky, for which I have written around half the play, in which I have rewritten the story of Dionysius. I have completely differed from Euripides' version. In Euripides' version, it is the Dionysius madness which is supreme. But in my play, God is surprised to look at the madness of a man called Pentheus. God's madness has an end, but man's madness has no end. It can do anything. So I'm using that, I'm rewriting Becky also in a way. And there is another play called In the Name of Dada. If you remember, Natasha, there was this Dan who told a story in your class. So I turned that story into a play. So that is how it is. And there is also one or two other plays. Elevators. I'm also writing a play on elevators. We are living in Iowa House Hotel. The way elevators come down and they go up, and new faces come out, and the old faces go out. And I'm trying to represent people how they're different in elevators and they're different outside the elevators. So I'm trying to create the tension which people go through, although they have smiling faces, but actually behind the face, nothing is smiling at all. So elevators also, I'm writing a play about that also. So in a way, I think Iowa has given me 4 to 5 new plays, and I have developed the structures for them also. So I think that is how it is. Although, yes, in terms of my home, I miss my mother a lot. Well, that is, I feel really lonely. Whenever I feel lonely, I just miss her, and on the whole, this has a very healthy impact on my creativity. And when you go across two cultures, that gives you a distance to understand your own culture also, and also to understand the culture in which you are living, I think. So in a way, new images become part of your mind, and you learn to relate to a new culture. That is also, I think a good part. So I think it is garbage, it is the elevators, it is Becky, it is in the name of Dada, there's a conversation about a policeman and someone who's smoking. So that is how I have been writing, and they're very good bookstores also. You can find the plays you love most. So I think it has been a very creative phase.